Soundcore Liberty 5 is selling for $129. I'm not buying it, no chance. But if you tell me that during the Black Friday, both Liberty 4 and Liberty 5 can be picked up for $89, then yeah, now we need to talk. Which one is actually worth it? Hello friends, welcome back. This is Jessie, and we all know how good the Liberty 4 NC performance is. And what is ironic, the 4 Pro and 5 don't get nearly the same level of praise, simply because their prices are really unreasonable. After more than half a year of market research, the Soundcore finally seemed to realize something. We just see you as a value king, not a luxury brand creator, please. In this video, we'll compare all these three from what everyone actually cares about, which one is worth buying at today's price, and how they stack up against popular options like the OnePlus Buds 4 or the Earphone AirPod 4 Plus. If this video helps you, don't forget to leave a good and Jessie in the comment. That really helps push the channel. After comparing these three, my biggest takeaway is here. We're just constantly paying for things we don't actually need. So first, we need to be clear about how these three are positioned. The Liberty 5 is the direct upgrade of the Liberty 4. The Liberty 4 NC is the noise cancellation enhanced version of the 4. The Liberty 4 Pro is the flagship version with upgrades across all the aspects. So from this vision, the key differences today come down to the ANC depth, the sound quality, and the battery life, and a few extra features. Alright, let's get into it. Consistently, the office right next to mine has been under renovation lately, which turned out to be a perfect opportunity to test the noise cancellation performance of these earbuds in real-world scenarios. Starting with the Liberty 4 NC, its low-frequency noise cancellation is clearly the strongest aspect, while the mid and high frequencies are handled more modestly, and the depths even reach around -48 decibel, which is closely to the others, but the average depth is at roughly like -25 decibel. So in practice, air conditioner noise is almost completely gone, and during the construction, you can still hear the drills and the high-speed motor sound, but they are significantly reduced. The human voices are pushed down by about 60%, become blurred and less distinct. And interestingly, the closer the speaker is, the more clearly their voices come through. So someone talking across the desk can actually sound clearer than someone just standing right next to you. As for sharp scraping or the friction noises, the performance is fairly average. And once the low-frequency noise is removed, the high-frequency sounds become more noticeable. And there is one thing worth praising is that the Soundcore clearly knows that its strengths and limitations. Since its high-frequency ANC isn't so strong, it doesn't try to force it, allowing the low-frequency performance to stand out without introducing the hiss or reverse noise from aggressive algorithms. And next, when we talk about the Liberty 4 Pro, don't let the term adaptive ANC fool you when it comes to this one. It simply means the system reacts more sensitively, not that it processes noise better. Its low-frequency noise cancellation is actually worse than the Liberty 4 NC. That's the price, right? And it's not up for debate. I even doubt myself when the first time I put them on. With the ANC maxed out, you can still hear the noticeable traffic rumble and air conditioner hum, and sometimes even a layer of background hiss. In construction, the mid and high frequencies are reduced only very normal, averaging about 25 decibel at best. And there is also a fairly obvious collisions. You can hear the step sound with the bone conduction. So among these three, I think the Liberty 5 delivers the best noise cancellation overall. Its low-frequency performance is cleaner than the 4 NC, and its mid to high-frequency suppression is both stronger and more stable. The maximum depth generally reaches 55 decibel, with an average depth around 32 decibel. While it follows a similar approach to the 4 NC, the overall noise cancellation is clearly a step up. On the same street, the Liberty 5 makes the traffic almost unnoticeable, while with the 4NC or the 4 Pro, you can still hear the cars approaching from a distance. Under the same electric drill noise, the 4NC and 4 Pro leave behind a sharp, piercing motor sound, while the Liberty 5 darkens and smooths it out. However, this also comes with the strongest sense of the ear pressure among all the three, which is why I generally very curious about what the Soundcore would achieve if they ever release a Liberty 5 NC. So if you're truly chasing the best possible noise cancellation, I think the Liberty 5 is the clearly choice. But when it comes to the overall value for money, the Liberty 4 NC still makes more sense than the 5. The Soundcore sound signature has always been about impact and scale, and the Liberty 4 NC is the perfect example of that. Among these three earbuds, the biggest difference are still in the low frequencies, and there is where today's discussion will be a little different. I'm not going to spend much time on the frequency response graph because the difference between the low frequencies just can't simply be explained by curves only. I'm also not diving too deep into vocals or the trebles, and the reason is simple. Except the 4 Pro, the vocals and trebles on the others lacks texture and detail, and you will feel very hazy, and I think it's very distorted. The Liberty 4 NC has a solid sub-bass extension with very much of quantity, and because of the bass energy is tightly focused, every hit lands with weight and punch feeling. The decay isn't particularly fast, but it doesn't blend too much onto the other frequencies, so the sense of power feels lively and energetic, almost like standing right next to the speakers in a bar. The Liberty 4 Pro uses a 10.5mm dynamic driver for the bass range, but frankly, in its default sound preset, it doesn't really justify such a large diaphragm, and the bass feels just buried under the rest of the mix, not as tight as the 4NC and not as expensive as the 5, resulting in a bass presentation that just simply isn't very impressive. On the other hand, the mids are more forward, closer to the ear, and come through with better texture. Although I think the stimulus control is only average, I originally planned to try the bass boost preset to see if it could create more atmospheric sound, but the moment the boost is pushed up, the sibilance becomes completely uncontrollable. So here, the sense of the impact from the 4 Pro feels more like the springiness of the trampoline. You know that? And the Liberty 5, with its wallpaper diaphragm, delivers a sound that is smooth, natural, and full-body. Its low frequency are generated through an enhanced acoustic tube structure, using the airflow and the resonance to create a wider but more fluid bass presentation. The sub-bass boost is more restrained compared to the mid-bass, which makes the low-end sound clean and transparent, but it also feels more airy and spread out, lacking the density and penetration and the deep slant feeling. Extension is only average, and there is very little of that punch you in the chest sensation. As a result, its sense of impact feels more like a massive curtain, just floating in the wind and distant and just on your head, that feeling. So in terms of the texture, I think it's generally hard for me to say which one I really prefer. And when we talk about the genre, I think the Liberty 4 NC and the Liberty 5 work better with some music driven by the rhythm, like the R&B and the hip-hop, while the Liberty 4 Pro is more suitable for vocals and pop. For complex arrangements, such as the large orchestral tracks and the K-pop or the J-pop, none of these three really excels. Since there are none of the brand new products, I'm not going to spend time on the control ways of the charging case. From the look, they are very similar. but the finish on the Liberty 4 Pro feels more refined, and the sliding is noticeably smoother. So, in contrast, the Liberty 5 has a much stronger plastic feel, so at the same price point, the 4 Pro does give you a better sense of value. And there is one thing, this design also drives me a little crazy. I will never check the logo before open the case, so I often end up just pushing from the wrong side, realizing it won't move and immediately feel anxious that I might break it. As a result, both of my cases now have slightly loose lid, and don't think you'll be the exception. This is very common, and if you care about your case feeling solid after just 1 or 2 months of use, you should think twice. In terms of the fit, the front chamber is relatively large, so the earbuds don't sit very deep in the ear canal. Instead, they block the former end, which can lead to pressure and soreness over time. Especially when I tested them, I need to switch between them frequently, so I can feel sharp discomfort and soreness appear quite quickly. Battery life differences aren't significant, and using them continuously for about a week is not an issue. But the latency differences are more surprising than I expected. The Liberty 5 upgrades to Bluetooth 5.4, but even in gaming mode, excluding phone side latency, the 4NC has the highest delay. That's natural, and the Liberty 5 latency is actually twice that of the 4 Pro, so which I honestly don't understand. For music, this isn't a problem, but in some shooter games, the slightly desync is noticeable. So looking at their unique features, the Liberty 4 Pro's built-in display screens feel very premium, and it's controlled through the side gesture with limited functionality. It doesn't provide many functions, and I think it needs surprisingly high patience because many actions rely on long press. But in terms of the intellectual logic, it's far better than something like the Total NC20 Pro. The functions are few, but at least they are useful. The Liberty 5 comes with the Dolby Sound mode for music and podcast and movies. And I specifically tried the Dolby Movie mode while I'm just watching the films, and trust me, turned it off. Dialogue becomes dry and hollow, while the system aggressively boosts the cinematic effect as if you're watching movies without need to hear the lines. The music mode is far more versatile, and once again, friends, this brings us back to the same conclusion. We are constantly paying for features we don't actually need. With Christmas coming up, it's actually the Liberty 5 that's getting the biggest discount among these three. In my view, Liberty 5 mainly satisfies two things: stronger noise cancellation and a more premium overall experience. That said, the downside is obvious as well. The ear pressure is noticeably heavier, and in terms of the pure value for money, it's still not as good as the Liberty 4 NC, I think. If we look at other earbuds in the same price range, like the Oppo Enco Free 4 or the OnePlus Buds 4, and they excel the Liberty 5 in terms of the ear pressure, the wearing comfort, and the fine detail in sound quality. The noise cancellation is essentially at the same level, with Liberty 5 only slightly ahead. That small advantage alone, in my opinion, isn't enough to make it a clear win. When compared to the Earphone Air Pro 4 Plus, the difference becomes very clear. If we talk about the sound quality, the earphone is on a much higher level, but the noise cancellation is, of course, not even in the same conversation. So if what you are chasing is just refined, detailed sound, go with the Earphone Air Pro 4 Plus. And if your priority is noise cancellation, then the Liberty 5 is still the better choice. And if you really don't care about the ANC at all, and you simply want the best sound you can get in this price range, then I just suggest trying the Samsung Galaxy Buds FE. The overall experience, they are fairly average, but the sound quality alone is definitely impressive enough to leave a strong impression. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Hope this video brings you some help. See you in next time. Good one, Jessie.